Hi, this is Christopher Smith, the publisher of the American Cannabis Report, and I'm happy to be speaking with the leadership group at Beneleaves in Ohio. And let's start with the president, Bill Williams. Hey, Bill, how are you?
Oh, hello, how are you today?
Good to see you today, thanks. We tip your camera up a little bit. So, Bill, I'm real curious about you. I've read about you, of course, as you can imagine. I'm a little bit of a research-oriented guy, so I've read about you. I know that you went to BU, for example, Boston University. And I'm always curious when I meet someone in the cannabis industry, how did you get here? Tell me a little bit about your background, if you don't mind.
No, I love that question. That's one of my favorite questions too, just because none of us were doing this 3 to 5 years ago. We were all doing something radically different. So sure. Yeah, that's always a great question. I came to this industry from, I was in canned vegetables before that. Before that, I worked with Coca-Cola. So it was, I should be in consumer packaged goods, but it's a good thing though. Everybody who comes to this space, we bring so much to the table, and this industry is so young and needs all of those the experiences we had. So I tell people every single time, no matter what you were doing before, we could use you over here in cannabis because the industry absolutely needs a lot more input. So I was working with Glory Foods. Glory Foods is a family-run company. My father started the business back in '89. We sold canned vegetables to every supermarket in the United States, every major supermarket. You can still find our products in Kroger, Meijer, Walmart, Publix. Okay. So, yep.
Okay. So you come from really mainstream business, and also, I think, very highly regulated businesses. I mean, that really specify product safety, testing, health of the consumer, that kind of thing, right? That's been your focus.
Absolutely, absolutely. Big brands. It doesn't get any bigger than Coca-Cola. So it was great working for Big Red and learning how they really talk to the consumers, and just figure out what they were looking for, what sugary drink they were looking for, and how to get more to them.
Well, it's one of the great brands of all time, one of the great brand stories, clearly, right? I mean, if you go anywhere in the world and you see that can, you know what that is.
Exactly. Coca-Cola Red, they would call it. That's absolutely right.
Yeah. And I think, we talk about branding a lot, and I think a lot of people talk about branding and they think about it's the logo, but the branding is that the promise that what you get in that can is going to be the same high quality every single time. That's the brand connection, right? The company says, Absolutely. We will deliver you quality every time. And I'm going to guess that this is one of the things you brought over to Beneleaves.
Absolutely. You can trust that when you pick up a Beneleaves item, it's going to help you go to sleep. It's going to help with that serious pain that you're fighting with. So yeah, right. we take this responsibility very, very seriously. You're going to get to meet Jeff Hollenback, our CEO, in a second, and he could talk about his experience. But everything we're bringing to the table, everything we've done is from what we learned before, and we absolutely take it dead seriously. We do a lot of patient education days here in Ohio, where it's an opportunity for us to interact with the patients and really find out why they're coming to a dispensary, what they're looking for. And we get some great stories about people, about how, one lady told me she goes to bed at 10 o'clock at night and she's wide awake at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and her day just starts. So it's very real in this industry, what we're doing and how we're helping folks. So I'm very proud to be a part of this.
That's really wonderful. And tell me just real quickly, if you wouldn't mind, so Beneleaves, in case people listening in might not know what you're focused on. So what product lines and what kind of categories are we talking about with Beneleaves?
That's a great question. Thank you. So Beneleaves, we are a standalone processor located here in Columbus, Ohio. We make vape pens, we make gummies, we make capsules, we make a lotion. We're making some gluten-free cookies. We just started making chocolate bars. So a lot of our conversations, we talk to the patients and they told us they were looking for variety. A lot of patients, they come and tell us they want the medicine, but they don't want the smoke. They don't want the smoke in their clothes. They don't want anyone to see them smoking. So like, what else do you have? So we're like, we got gummies. This is a good alternative for you. Gummies, everybody likes a gummy. The patients sometimes are like, I don't want the extra sugar. I don't want candy. What else do you have? Then we offer up, we've got capsules. capsules pretty much is always, it's a go-to. Everybody's used to taking a capsule of some sort. So the capsule also works. But even then, they're like, well, what else do you have? You know, every once in a while, I want an option. That's where that gluten-free cookie that we've got. It's so variety is great in this space. And we're just trying to give the patients of Ohio tons of variety and tons of good products.
And tell me real quick, if you don't mind, one more thing about Beneleaves, which is, do you consider yourselves manufacturers, or are you a manufacturer with dispensaries, or what part of the industries do you guys cover?
Yeah, that's a good question. So Ohio is a limited license state. So you can be in the cultivation, you could be a grower, you could be a dispensary, or you can be a processor. There's some people that have all three, but when we looked at the space, we really like the processing side of things. You know, our backgrounds, this is what we're used to. This is what we're really, this is what we're used to. So we like the processing. So we are a standalone processor here in Columbus, Ohio.
Got it. And do you mind if I'm not sure how we're going to do this, if you're going to shift the camera, or if we're going to have Jeff and Peg walk into the frame, whichever way we want to handle it. I think just for people who are listening, so we're here at Beneleaves. This is a fast-moving, hard-working company. Everybody is at work, and I feel really fortunate that we've been able to catch you in the middle of your day. I feel like we got a rope around you, and we hooked you into the room, and then you're trying to get out. So I'll try to get to it as quick as possible. So this is Jeff and Peg Hollenback, and now help me understand the titles. I know that you are the founders and the owners, I believe, but I'm not sure if that's exactly technically correct.
Yeah, founding partners.
Okay.
So in 2016, when Ohio passed medical marijuana bill, we were at dinner, and I turned to Jeff and I said, well, how hard could it be to get a license? Yeah. So those words have come back to me often. And so at that time, Jeff was commuting to South Carolina he's an FDA process authority, and he was doing the canning of the vegetables where Bill was selling the vegetables.
Okay.
So I looked at him and I'm like, hey buddy, you can do collards, you can do cannabis. Nice. And we came from some personal health issues. I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I was on big pharma drugs that were not playing out the way that I thought would be the best for my long-term health. And so I started looking for alternatives. We also were in a situation where Jeff's sister was a head oncology nurse at a hospital here, developed pancreatic cancer, and we lost her in 6 months. And her end of life, we knew what was going to happen, but we thought, gosh, there's just got to be something better for an exit other than watching your 85-year-old mother-in-law watch her only daughter die, Dilaudid, over Dilaudid, etc. So we're like, there's just got to be a better way. And then the real capper was, we have a nephew that was a 35+ year opioid alcohol abuser. He is now clean and sober 7 years because of cannabis.
Isn't that incredible?
So we are truly believers in the power of the plant and what it can do. And we want to make great medicine. And Jeff and I were the founding partners. Bill and his brother came in as our investors. And I know my husband can make great products with efficacy, fidelity, consistency. And I knew that it'd be and we want to make great medicine for people. We are so fortunate to be in this place. We're so fortunate to be with Bill, and our families go back how many years? Jeff and I used to work for his father. So I've known Bill.
How about that?
Yeah. So I've known Bill since he was a young boy. So,
isn't that great? What a great story. Wow.
Yeah. So we're one of the few friend and family owned companies in Ohio. We're very proud of that fact. And we're one of the few standalone processors. And we're just really super excited to be in the space. As Bill says, the stories we hear and the letters we get. I do a lot of the patient interaction with patients, and it really every day makes you realize why we're in this space and how fortunate we feel to be in this space.
That's a wonderful story. The stories of why people are involved in the industry are, to me, some of the most interesting. There is always a why component you know, the big why people get involved. And whether it's been politicians that I've interviewed or professional athletes or whatever, there's always, it seems, there's a family member, there's an experience that they've had that either went incredibly badly, like you're describing, in such an awkward and unfortunate way, or something that actually went well because cannabis stepped in and was the solution for them. And when you see it with your own eyes, you're a true believer. You can't deny what your eyes have seen, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's how Beneleaves came about. The name means, you know, literally good leaves. I
Right.
live in two worlds. I also teach dyslexic children. So
Okay.
so some days I'm in words and some days I'm in weed. So that's my life.
You've got your alliteration all figured out. You've got it dialed in. Well done. Is Jeff available?
Yes.
Or is he moving?
Right here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
Thank
Hi
you
there.
so much, Peg. Hi there, Jeff. How are you?
Good. I'm gonna get rid of that fancy headgear.
Oh, and look what other headgear you got going there. There you go. Hey, Jeff, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I think it's so fascinating whenever I speak with anyone who is on the highly technical side, really on the science side of cannabis, because I think so many people think cannabis, dude, we're gonna like smoke a joint, like whatever, you know, and they talk very vaguely about the benefits. You know, sometimes you'll get a young bud tender in a, you know, in a dispensary, and they don't really quite know exactly what's going to happen with this one or that one, but they think it might make you a little sleepy or it might be enervating, and they not quite, you know. So it's fascinating to me to hear someone who is really precise, specific, science oriented, working in this space. Fantastic.
Well, and actually, one of the folks that worked with us early on is a specialty marijuana pharmacist. Okay. Who also is an Ohio patient and has glaucoma. And we work with a marijuana doctor, a lady that does, you know, that is writing prescriptions for people that need marijuana.
Okay.
And she is the doctor for all of the folks that work here, because all of the folks that work here are patients.
Okay. Really? Okay.
And we pay for them to be patients. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
That's part of their benefits, but you know, we talk about marijuana all the time. You know, when we look at what we're trying to do with this, you know, Andrew and I talked a little bit, and you've not had the opportunity to see the facility, but if you come here, you walk in, and what you're going to see is red seamless polyurethane concrete floors, stainless steel floor drains, you know, reverse osmosis water, food safe backflow preventers, you know, FRP plastic walls, ceiling, lots of LED lights. Place is spotless. It deserves to be spotless. We're making medicine every day.
There you go.
But that's just the personal manufacturing philosophy that I brought from big manufacturing to here. And, you know, I was doing flavor system development for a very long time. And that's what I did for Glory, flavor system. I was director of research and development, but I was doing flavor system development and thermal process development, how long to actually cook that product to make it sterile.
Okay.
And so I'm very interested in food and flavor. And,
Sure.
you know, so everything that we're doing here, we're trying to do an elevated experience. Okay.
Nice.
Like with our vape pens, we, you know, the first thing that we do, we take a single strain and we do a raw terpene run on it, and we'll pull those terpenes off and set those aside, and then we'll go make the rest of it into distillate. And when we mix it back together at the end, we end up with a better product than God made when the first time around. Okay.
Okay. Science versus God. Here we go.
we just, you know, so people that have particular things that are wrong with them, you know, we started using single cannabinoids over 1.5 years ago. And the single cannabinoids, so we've got, as Bill said, depending on the customer, we've got CBG that's in a vape pen that's at a bioavailability correct dose. in that vape pen. We've also got it in a gummy, and we've also got it in a capsule. We've got it in 10, 20, and 40 milligrams. So you can buy whatever size you want, and you can take it in whatever form you want, depending on what you want to do.
Right.
And because, as Bill said, what we're in the business of is marijuana delivery vehicles. Okay.
Sure.
So how are we going to deliver the next best product that has the discrete dosing and is giving the medicine the way that it needs to be given?
Sure.
So we will stick with a lot of very medical stuff, and then as we go recreational, we may end up with a separate label than Beneleaves and some of the Yellow Labs and some of the other ones that we're currently working with.
Sure. Yeah. I think delivery systems is such an interesting place to be also, because again, we talk about the common thinking about cannabis, right? Which is that you have to smoke a joint, you have to use a bong, whatever. There's all of smoke and there's all of that involved. And now people are not limited that way. And I think what it makes me want to ask is, let's talk a little bit about age groups that might be your customers, because
Okay.
I have been thinking for a long time that elder patients of all ages, gender, ethnicity, all of it, need the cannabis medicine, especially as they get older. They're probably hesitant about it because they've been hearing reefer madness stuff for, their whole lives. But instead of opioids, instead of alcohol, instead of the others, the cannabis medicines offer a great benefit, no side effects. And now with these new delivery systems, it makes it so much easier for them to partake without the stigma and the smell and the neighbors and you know what I mean? All that, right?
We're laughing.
We're laughing because we are the Ohio patient.
We are the.
Okay.
Oh, there you go. The face
And
up.
then you brought out the age thing with, that's us.
Yep.
Yeah, so we have many. I don't like to use the word elder since I'm not old at this point.
That's right. No, neither am I. We're none of us are.
But that's the patient, and a lot of these folks, God love them. Think about it. I'm relatively knowledgeable, and I'd have a tough time going into a bud tender and telling them what I want and having them translate that into something.
Absolutely.
So that's a huge thing that we're leaving on the table right there.
I'm 20, I'll chime in to telling a 21-year-old bud tender that I'm having trouble getting in out of the car. They kind of look at you like, what's the problem? Right.
Right.
And
Right. Well, I think it's what we ask of bud tenders is unlike anything else, except maybe pharmacists, but maybe not even. But but really the breadth of information that they have to be able to take from you to process and then find the product that might match it up right on the spot. It's really a remarkably hard job that a bud tender has, actually, I think. And so putting the science behind it like you are, I think, is only going to help, right? And to really, really categorize and codify those benefits and what matches up with what needs there are. I think it's got to be helpful.
Yeah. So, we're all about transparency and telling the patient exactly what they're getting. So again, a year and a half ago, when we started looking at our compliance labels, we started adding all the minor cannabinoids that were available in that product. Not required, but interesting for the patients if they're paying attention to what they're doing. We also added the top 5 terpenes.
Wow. Okay. That's huge.
So on the package itself, it's got a QR code that will actually take you to the Confident Cannabis test results for that particular product.
Oh, there you go. So that's how your certificate of authenticity works, right? The COA.
Right. Correct.
Right. Online. Nice.
So
nice.
That's our third party test results that we're required to have from Commerce.
Sure. Out here in. Go ahead.
I'm getting prompted off to the side here. I'm not quite accustomed to that.
Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah, yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
So we tour bud tenders. We've probably toured 200 bud tenders through here
There you
to
go.
talk about the science and talk about terpenes, talk about, because the level of understanding on what terpenes are actually doing for the medicine is really misunderstood at this point.
No doubt. No doubt. A lot of the experts that I speak to in California, that this is the way the conversation is going. Indica and sativa do not exist. They are the same. And in fact, what really dictates the experience almost always is the terpenes. So
Yeah.
this is the way the conversation is going. So it's interesting. You're right on the cutting edge with that. That's awesome.
Well, I'm just listening to what everybody else is saying,
Well, there you go.
trying
No,
to pay
you're,
attention to it.
no, you're in the wave. Hey, by the way, so we talked about delivery systems. We talked about different products. And there's one you didn't mention, which I think is interesting. It will lead us to the next person who's got to be around you somewhere, Andrew Wensberg, who is founder of Yellow Labs. And so
Yes.
I'm curious, now you've got different edibles, you've got gummies, you've got cookies, but now this fella here has a totally unique product, different than any of the others you have. So I'd love to hear a little bit from Andrew. Hi.
Well, first of all, you want to know why Anders here?
Sure.
Because he's got standards like ours and he's got great products.
Fantastic.
Okay, so that makes it interesting for him to get in here with us, because
Okay.
that I like to think that I can look at what's going on in the marketplace and I can predict things that are going to happen a little bit.
Okay.
So one big downfall in a lot of the products that are out there right now is they don't act quick enough. Okay.
Right.
They just are taking too long to get effective. And,
Yes.
hour and a half, I got pain in my shoulder right now.
That's
I don't
right.
want to wait. I don't want to wait an hour and a half. So I use Anders spray, and I'm getting, in 20 minutes, I'm getting pain relief. And then I can add to my pain relief with something else that's going to take longer to take effect. So it's
Sure.
a fantastic product to be, for those of us who medicate on a daily basis for different reasons,
Mhm.
that provides a really interesting way of doing things, because
Great.
the fact that it goes active that quick is going to be really, really exciting.
Okay.
But talk
Andrew,
to Andrew.
Yeah, thanks. Hey, I guess we're
Right.
just going to sort of.
Nice talking with you. Stay in touch.
Thanks so much, Jeff. Thank you. Andrew, I've heard a lot about you. You and I have talked many times, of course, and I've always been fascinated about how you got started in the business, because I know you came from the advertising business and now here you are all in, fully invested and fully committed in the cannabis industry, which is a big jump.
Well, it really wasn't for me though, because cannabis has been a really important part of my entire adult life. And,
Okay.
I have conditions like ADHD and things like that, and there was never really anything pharmaceutical that was really solving issues and making me feel like that cannabis does. So when I saw the opportunity to take it into the legal space, I just decided not to miss it. And
Yeah.
that was 4 years. That was 4 years ago. And
Okay.
I like these incredible people that I'm working with at Beneleaves. I bring a lot of business background, and I've seen a lot of industries that are very relevant and germane to this, like beer business, for example.
Sure.
Right. And so, but I'll tell you what, I've been to a lot of cannabis companies, and this operation is the most impressive operation I've ever seen. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
And it's not just, it's the way the building is designed, the way it's equipped, the flow of the whole place, the caliber of the people, the depth of the leadership.
Yeah.
It's a really great package here. It's unbelievable. And I'm very, very lucky. I'm very grateful that they're giving me guidance on how to scale my product. And I couldn't have had a better group to help me do that.
That's great. I think, one of the things that we've talked about, and I think a lot of people talk about in terms of edibles, right? In terms of ingesting generally, right? We can smoke and then it goes through the lungs and it takes whatever it takes. It's a pretty quick onset, but a lot of people don't like to smoke, or some people just can't. If they're ill or if they have certain treatments they're going through, they can't smoke. So now we need to think of a different way. And then we think of edibles, but goes through the stomach, it goes through the liver. It takes, I mean, I'll tell you, about a week ago, I took an edible and it took so long to come on that by the time it came on, I forgot that I had taken it. So I'm working away and all of a sudden I'm feeling it come on and I can't remember how this happened. And now I'm getting high and I really can't remember how it happened. It was the most ridiculous experience. And I'm sort of sitting here going, what's going on? And I had forgotten completely because it was 2 hours later. And to me, I mean, it sounds silly, right? That's a little entertaining. And luckily I was home and nothing, I wasn't driving, like, right? I was home. So, okay, fine. That was, no harm, no foul. And it was kind of entertaining, but still kind of annoying. This long onset thing is not really a solution a lot of times, unless you prepare for it and, eat it before a meal and do all the right things. But your product solves that problem in a completely different way.
It does. And I like to think of it as more body friendly ways to get THC into your, the benefits of THC into your regimen.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's really not about saying that other delivery systems are bad. So, I mean, I think smoking is the best, is really the best articulation of the spectrum of what's in the plant, right?
Sure.
But
you get the full plant straight away, right?
And what I'm finding with our oral spray, is it's a great complement actually to smoking or to vaping, right? And it's a way, it complements your regimen. And today there's so many people are microdosing daily, and they're looking, as Bill and Jeff were talking about, they're looking for more alternatives to do that. Sure. And they're very curious about it. So we're very excited about the potential. It's a very new product, but we're already getting great feedback from the channel partners here in Ohio, right?
So your partner, so your company, real quick, Andrew, just to restate it again, your company is Yellow Labs, and you have two main lines of products, right?
Yes, we have a sublingual oral spray, and then we have a transdermal cream that has a recover benefit. And both are working against the same technology, which is extraordinary efficiency of penetrating the skin, getting the active ingredient, an oil-based ingredient, cannabis oil, THC, through the skin in a water-based method, right? And and it makes it very, very simple and soothing to apply. And again, it's so fast on the onset side that it's like a smoker side without the smoke, right? And
nice.
And so it's we're getting really great. We've done a lot of trials and done a lot of work with patients, and things like chronic pain, serious arthritis, anxiety, right? And, but also fitness. You're right. Getting out of bed again and, going out and working out again. All right. Or playing men's league hockey or, softball or whatever. Right. So people don't want to give that stuff up, and they're starting to realize that it's really complementary to those kind of an active lifestyle. And everybody pretty much the best thing you can do for yourself as you get older is to stay active. Right. Sure. And doing the thing, it keeps your mind where you want it to be. You're doing things that make you feel good, and physically, it's really essential to your health and well-being, right? And we're that's what we're going after. That's what we're trying to help.
Cool. Okay. And so now I understand also that you're working. You've not developed that technology, the nanotechnology that allows it to penetrate the skin more quickly, and I believe in the spray as well, right? So you're working with another partner on that. Is that okay to mention? My IP partner is Gefion Canada. They're a specialty pharmaceutical, and they have been at the technology for about 3 years. There's $10 million in R&D against this science, and some very, very scientific studies are going on now with Health Canada, the Canadian health agency. And we're getting remarkable data on what actually happens with the technology, the amount of
absorption through the skin that occurs as compared to other alternatives, like other topical alternatives and things like that. And then we're also going to be getting a clinical study in on bioavailability of the active ingredient, the THC, in the bloodstream, right? And we're expecting remarkable results, and people need more data. They need more science to build upon the mystique of consuming cannabis products, right?
They sure do.
That mystique can be good. That mystique can also be stigma, right? So the data is so important, and we try to be very objective. We're going to be very objective about that, telling patients what we do. And that's, I think it's really going to be welcomed, because there isn't enough data on how things work.
100% agree. Yeah. Well, I think that's remarkable that you and Beneleaves seem absolutely, two whatever, brothers from another mother kind of thing. Absolutely peas in a pod or whatever. Pick your metaphor. That's metaphor. Right. But I mean, you're so naturally aligned, because both of you are so science focused. Your standards are so high, and always the goal is the patient at the end. It's not just to sell stuff. It's not to package stuff. It's not to be cute with this and that. It's not to grab market share. It's not any of those things. It really seems to be focused on people, and I think that's so powerful.
Well, if you're consistently really making patients better, the market share and the sales and all that will take care of themselves, right? And that's the reality of it. And I mean, the way Jeff goes about his work, okay, his idea of accuracy is 3 past the decimal point. Okay. All right. We're talking about absolute precision, reliable, repeatable, and with the ability and the tools to do it at scale. Right. It's a beautiful thing that they have here. Well, and
that's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great.
So, I mean, we're going to have a lot more news coming out of here. Okay. And Ohio's an interesting market, because I'll tell you the caliber of this company, okay, in this medical only state, I mean, the adult use piece has to come, because there's just too many good products and good companies in Ohio on the medical side, right? And so I'm really looking forward to getting to know their customer base and all of the interest, all the cool the dispensaries. I think there's 62 dispensaries now, and they just approved another 73 licensees. Right. So it's going to be a very dense, vibrant market here in Ohio.
That's really good news. Good to hear. Well, listen, I know that you guys are all really busy. I feel like I was saying to Peg earlier, I felt like I grabbed you as you were going by from one business adventure to the next. And I know that you're busy too. You're just visiting. So I don't want to take too much of your time. And I really appreciate talking with you here, Ander. And why don't we just sort of close it out? And let you guys get back to work.
Yeah, you'll be hearing from me though. When we got some really interesting news coming, and I love the American Cannabis Report. I follow it every day, and keep up the good work, man. You're doing great work.
Thank you. I will. I appreciate that. Thanks so much. So listen, I think we'll wrap it up. But thank you so much, Ander Wensberg, Jeff and Peg Hollenback, and Bill Williams from Beneleaves in Ohio. And we're signing off here.